I am quoting this woman constantly in all sorts of things, not only here on the Autoimmune Hour, but in my corporate work as well, because she really has insight into quick and easy transformation. Don't we all love that? She might disagree with me how quick and easy, but I find so many of her insights just to be where I'm awestruck and it stays with me. And those are the moments that I find I can transform the quickest. When I'm awestruck, it just stays right there in my memory. So I'm not going to quit wasting time here and introduce Sarah Peyton. You guys probably have known her. She's been on the show before. And tonight we're going to talk about something that when she suggested the title, my mind went 100 different directions. And first, let me introduce her. She's an international speaker and facilitator, and she just has the biggest heart and a passion for weaving together neuroscience knowledge and experiences of healing to help us unify our brains and our bodies and, what's going on in our systems to make sure our emotions are in alignment with ourselves and for our highest good. She makes interpersonal neurobiology research available to all of us. That's what I like to say, because she can bring all this science talk down to a place where we can understand it and immediately use it. And aloneness. When she brought me that title, I was like, wow, as I said, my mind went 100 different directions. So, Sarah, what's your definition of alarmed aloneness?
Well, alarmed aloneness is the state where we get elevated heart rate and elevated cortisol because somebody who's important to us has disappeared. So this will happen for people with when you have a broken heart. This is a state of alarmed aloneness. It hurts, it's stressful. It can drag on for years where it hurts and it's stressful. People will experience alarmed aloneness when they lose somebody that they love to death. When there's incarceration in a family, there will be alarmed aloneness. In cases of divorce, of course, and separation, people are dealing with alarmed aloneness. When you have a child that grows up and goes off to live their own life, and you're left without that little presence in the house, that's alarmed aloneness. There are so many places where we, in our social human bodies, experience the loss of somebody else physically.
Wow. Now, this might be tangential, but bear with me here. Luckily, Sarah is okay with me running down rabbit holes. But would that relate to the loss of a pet, too?
Oh, my God, yes. Thank you for naming that. The loss of a pet. I think it can also be like if you have a house that you love that you have to move away from. There can be that experience because we often love our dwellings and have a sense of them loving us. I mean, anything that really has a presence for us. I think when people lose a sense of trust in God, that this can happen as well. So it's anything that really is important to us. I got really inspired by the woman who was like, tidy up your life, and I ended up throwing away my stuffed dog from when I was 3 because I was like, I don't need this anymore. I still like why did I do that? It was like 5 years ago. I'm 56 years old and I'm going, where is my dog? And that is also, a state of alarmed aloneness.
I'm glad you brought that up. It's so funny. You said that and my mind immediately went to the container that Squeaky is in. This little red and white stuffed dog I've had for decades. We won't get quite as...
Don't get too inspired by the magic of tidying up.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. Now, when I think of this, it's definitely in my mind part of the fight, flight, or freeze, but what are some of the things we'd noticed about it versus, where you're absolutely in what I call a hyper state of alert? In fight, flight, or freeze, I got to run.
It's so wonderful that you're mentioning our nervous system and this idea of fight, flight, and freeze. Because, in the Western world, in the colonized world, we're like, okay, here's the nervous system states: fight, flight, freeze, which means that we're leaving out some very important elements of nervous system states. And one of the states that we're leaving out is alarmed aloneness. So I actually now, when I'm talking about the nervous system, I will often say fight, flight, alarmed aloneness, and freeze. in order to put it into its right place when we're working with this learning, because otherwise we don't validate ourselves for this state of alarm. And the alarm includes elevated heart rate, elevated blood pressure, elevated rates of cortisol. So it's like we're looking for what we've lost. I don't know if you've ever had this experience that someone you love has died, and you find yourself, you're in a public place and you're searching, your eyes are searching. Could that be them? You see a back that looks a little familiar, like, could that be them? It's like the body and the cells don't even quite know how to adjust to losses sometimes. And we can stay in this place for quite some time.
Because I'm thinking that some of the things you're saying, a medical professional might just say, oh, anxiety.
Anxiety is such a wonderful topic. So let me just circle back around to catch the other state of the nervous system that we haven't named yet, which is social engagement. So we really have these three states. We have a frozen, kind of collapsed or immobilized state. We have this middle ground of sympathetic activation that we traditionally call fight-flight, that we're adding alarmed aloneness to. Then we have the social engagement state, which is this wonderful place where we have full access to our whole beings and our capacity for social connection. So the nervous system itself, it has these states. I wonder about this too, like, what do medical professionals say when people have heartbreak, and do they name it anxiety? I mean, how much of the anxiety that we all carry is actually a frozen state of alarmed aloneness?
I would have named it sort of this weird anxiety I should just get over.
What happens for your body when we name it alarmed aloneness? When we say, well, of course you would experience alarmed aloneness.
It relaxes a little bit. I'm not sure it eases the pain of the thought if I lost Squeaky, and I haven't thought about Squeaky in, I don't know, 40 years since I packed him away. But now that we're on the topic, I'm thinking about that, and and it could relate to your reaction.
Yeah.
And when I hear alarmed aloneness, my mind goes multiple ways, and I'm just going to say there are times where my aloneness alarms me, because maybe what happens if I have a reaction or my illness flares and I'm alone. Is that the same or a different type of alarmed aloneness?
Oh, I think that is definitely there in the experience of alarmed aloneness. And so it can be quite a common experience when we're dealing with any kind of ongoing issues that keep us isolated. A quite stunning story of a man who was speaking publicly, and he actually brought two hearts. And he brought a smoker's heart, and he showed the audience the smoker's heart. So this is a real formaldehyded heart in a bottle. And they could
shocking.
They could see the damage that the smoking had done to the heart, and everybody knows, all about smokers, impact on health and so on. And then he brought another heart to show the audience, and he said, "What? Look at this heart. This heart has just as much or more damage than the smoker's heart, and this is a heart that was lonely."
Wow.
Yeah, we are physically impacted by the stress of aloneness. So it's very important for us, when we're holding ourselves with warmth and care in the experience of any kind of isolation that comes with health issues, to begin to be able to name what's true. And this is important. The naming is important, as we've spoken before, Sharon, many times, about how when we give words to emotional experience, it eases the emotional experience a little bit.
The information provided on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, including the websites understandingautoimmune.com and lifeinterruptedradio.com, plus social media, is for educational purposes only. What you read, hear, and see on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio, and its websites, and other media outlets is based on experience only. The information should never be used for any legal, diagnostic, or treatment purposes. Always seek sound legal, medical, and or professional advice regarding any problems, conditions, and any of the recommendations you see, hear, or read here on the Autoimmune Hour, Understanding Autoimmune, and Life Interrupted Radio. You've been listening to Life Interrupted Radio. To learn more, listen to other shows, and gain free resources that can help empower your life, be sure to stop by lifeinterruptedradio.com.